We're so happy to have you guys here. This is amazing. Big fans of the film, and so I would love to just kind of hear how this film you guys feel, which it definitely is a departure from previous work that you guys have done. If you can talk about that, and also
we probably should just start at the beginning of kind of how it started.
Okay.
Can we go back a little bit?
Yeah. Absolutely, sure.
We're gonna digress. When we first moved to LA back in 2002, we were writing things like this. These are the types of films we were writing. And we ended up making a couple of renegade indies, and they were a little more on the comedy side, but we were still writing things that were like crime thrillers with some, comedic undertones. And we got a bunch of reps. We got an agent, we got a manager, we got a lawyer, and we were rolling, and we were taking the water bottle tours. And people were like, okay, when you're Quentin Tarantino, you can actually make these, because you guys don't have enough. You don't have enough directing credits.
These movies we were writing were like $40 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was like, you need to figure out what you're going to do to get to these movies. So we started writing down. And it got to a point where we wrote this script, Small Town Crime, and people were like, okay, it's great, but no one's going to give you $2 or $3 million, $4 million, $5 million to go make this movie. Like you gotta make something else. So we went down. We wrote a drama about what we know. We wrote Lost on Purpose, about this struggling dairy farmer and her dairy hands, and it's very American Graffiti and other films that we love.
Yeah. And we were like, no one can stop us from making this movie, because it was at a price point where we could go out and raise the money to make this, and we can shoot it. There will be a version of this movie that we're going to shoot. So we made Lost on Purpose with that spirit.
Okay.
Which is the drama.
And it's more of a drama, with some comedic undertones.
And from that, we played a bunch of festivals, and
did well.
Did pretty well enough. And festivals, and had a good time, and met a lot of people. And from that, we got Waffle Street. And they were like, oh, you can handle an ensemble. This is an ensemble. It has voiceover.
It has some great actors that they knew and recognized from their favorite shows and some movies, like Kazmarek and Lafferty. And, and they were like, these producers came to us and said, hey, we've got this book. We have like $500,000. At that point, they had $500,000, and they were like, we want to make this. We've been running around trying to develop it for $20 million in a bunch of different places. And we're kind of stuck, and we've got this script that's just too big. And one of the producers, who's a co-writer on Anna McAlpin, was like, I've written it too big. I'm looking for some other writers to collaborate on this to see if we can get it back down and actually shoot this for $500,000. So we read the book, and then we went and did a pass on it. They really liked it, and they were like, yeah, let's do it. So we went and made it.
And we're like, if we can make this movie with them. So we wrote it on spec.
Okay.
And that one's more of like a comedy drama.
Yeah.
Okay.
With Danny Glover and James Lafferty. And
which brings us to the departure.
Yeah, because it's funny because like when we first set out in town, what our voice was, what we were going to do, it's this. This is what we thought we were going to be doing. Is this sort of crime thriller with comedic undertones, and it just, you got to build up to that. And for some reason we weren't smart enough at the time to say, oh, why don't we just try to do like a $200,000 or $300,000 crime thriller. For some reason we went right to like this, Larry McMurtry kind of like crazy meandering rural vibe that we also love. And that's the other thing is, as filmmakers, you're not just like, oh, I like Tarantino films. That's all I like. That's all I watch. No, you have like Tender Mercies. I like Predator. I like, you go through this list of like a bazillion films and a bazillion different genres that you love. So it just didn't occur to us that.
I like stepping outside of genres.
Absolutely.
So like Kubrick never made the same movie twice, never made the same genre twice.
Absolutely.
And so that's the sort of career trajectory we would love to have.
And we didn't have anybody at the time weighing on us saying you need to stay in the correct genre, because we were just.
You're Jackson Pollock. You can only do splatter paintings.
Yeah.
Well, I think that sometimes I think that it's difficult because the industry demands that of you sometimes to put yourself in a box, and I think as artists it's always difficult because different stories come to you at different times in your life. And I love what you're saying, and I think it's really inspiring for people who are watching and listening, is that you don't have to define yourself as one thing. And also, if you've got that thing that you always wanted to do, you might come to it later on. And I suspect that the movie you would have made in 2002 is extremely different than the movie you'd make now, and perhaps it was meant to be that script was in the drawer for 15 years because and now it gets to be alive. And
I'll say the one thing that we got so much better at was writing.
Yes.
Writing.
So we spent 6 years just knocking down scripts and
Absolutely.
sharpening those tools.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, it's to your point, personal velocity.
Mm-hmm.
It happens when it's meant to happen.
Yeah.
We, to your point, could definitely could not make this movie 6 years ago. That
Right.
would not happen.
Right.
So we
wouldn't have
developed
been
the
the same.
skill set that allowed us to make the movie now. And it's interesting to circle back to like some of the Sidney Lumet has this great book making movies.
Yeah, of course, I've read it.
It's great.
great.
Everyone should read Making
You have
Movies.
to.
And there's
Yeah.
one piece of his advice. I'm going to paraphrase it poorly.
Yeah.
But it's essentially this. He's made, let's say, 12 films.
Yeah.
4 of them he made because he was passionate about the material and he knew that he had to make it.
Yeah.
4 of them he made 4 because he had nothing to do, and they said, "Hey, there's a movie," and he's like, "Great, I'll do it."
Right.
And 4 of them made because he was dead broke
Right.
and he needed work.
Absolutely.
And he says, the success of those pictures has nothing to do with my motivation for making them.
Right.
He's
Right.
like, my advice to you is if someone offers you to make a movie and you think you can make a great movie, make it.
Yeah.
And so that's where we approach this stuff. When we read the Waffle Street book, we're like, we can make a great movie.
Yeah,
out of this.
we like this material.
When we went out to make Lost on Purpose, we're like, we're going to make the best damn independent dairy epic movie you've ever seen.
I love that.
And when we went out to make Small Town Crime, we're like, finally we get to make the crime genre movies that we want to make.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's amazing. That's so wonderful. And we just had the opportunity to hang out with Stephanie.
Oh,
right
great.
on.
Lovely.
She's amazing.
Awesome.
So we got a little insight into what it was like during production. She said it was such an amazing experience working with you guys. So you shot out in Salt Lake City,
Yes.
in Utah. And okay, so as I was telling you guys earlier, I'm gonna nerd out for a minute, but I'm always so curious what it is like when there's 2 directors on set,
Yeah.
and how you guys. I mean, I can already see the finishing each other's sentences thing. This is great. But what is it like to direct a film together? And you've been doing it successfully for many years, so
It's the only way we've done it.
That's
And
fantastic.
with every movie, we become more and more dysfunctionally codependent. We
It is, man. We've realized what each other are good at,
okay.
and we'll lean on each other for those things. Not to say that we're not trying to get better at those other things either, but
Okay.
it just honestly, it's just this weird piece of mind where I'm like, oh, he's got it covered, but I'm going to try to pay attention and do what I can to learn from what he's doing right now, and
Yeah.
I think vice versa. So
And it's also nice, like, once in a while, we'll give each other, like, a high five, like, man, that was amazing.
yeah,
Like,
like where'd that come
the
from? How'd you
transformation
figure
from,
that out?
like,
But,
this,
yeah.
like, 10 years ago was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, you're, like, so that's, look, we're each other's most
Toughest
severe critics.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yet the
Sure.
first people to give each other, like, hey, this is great. Like,
Right, that was awesome. Yeah.
What an amazing collaboration. But it is the yin and yang. We've been blessed that, probably in our upbringing, we
Yeah.
grew up in a rural area.
Okay.
It was Ian and I,
Okay.
and and so it was either we got along or it was going to be a lonely childhood.
Okay.
So we got
That's
along.
fair.
Yeah.
That was the correct choice, I think. and then in your writing process, what is that? Is it similar to directing, or how do you guys work together?
Probably the division of labor that we've come to understand.
Yeah.
Because at first, when we first started, writing and directing things, it was like, we're both kind of hustling around trying to figure out what our roles are really when we were first making our first shorts and maybe even our first feature. But like, I think it kind of goes like this. We sit down and we rap out what we want. We have these long conversations. Oh, what do we do? We pace around. We love to stomp around and try to think of things, and then we get kind of an idea. We have an idea of what we want to do, and I'll run home as quickly as I can and start hammering on the keys, and I'll bang it out. I'm a grinder. I'll get in there just blah, 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 all night. Come up with some pages. I'll bring it back to me. He's like, "You son of a bitch! I
Like,
wanted
you
to
already
write
wrote that? I wanted to write that.
and then he'll take the pages. He'll disappear for a day or two, and then he'll come back to me and be like, all right, here's what I think we should do. Boom, boom, boom. He's amazing at going over the stuff, anything we've done, and just making it better, like so much better, adding tons of layers to it. And then we sit there and go back and forth on it until we both feel it's really good.
Yeah.
And then it's layered up. And then as we write the script, he'll knock out 10 or 15 pages, and I'm knocking out 10 or 15 pages, and then we just kind of pass them off to each other. But the initial out the gate usually starts with me being way overzealous and writing like 10, 15 pages to get started, And then he's like, all right, I guess we're starting now. And then we'll start.
Yeah, it might be a little bit more premeditated.
Yeah.
So Ian's the kind of guy
he's
that like...
more outlining. And
like, we'll jump off the building and want to build the parachute on the way down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you got to make sure your parachute's bulletproof.
He's building it for me as we're plummeting.
Yeah.
That's great. And that I love that. And that makes actually a lot of sense. I always find it so interesting to ask writers what their process is, and especially writing teams. It's like... because everyone's different, you know, every writing team is different, every person's process is different. I was just chatting with a friend who is a writer on a show actually that's going to be premiering as an event here, The Sun, and she goes, oh, I can only write on the floor. And I was like,
wow,
that's amazing. And she's like, no, I have to feel like the ground beneath me, and I have to feel like, I was like, it's almost like a kid, like she has to like get back in that place. But
it's just tricking your mind.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I used to be hopelessly addicted to coffee.
Right.
And to write, I thought I had to have 7 cups of coffee.
Right.
That's not good for your health. Don't do that.
So
I slowly
work out
weaned
well.
myself off of it.
Not
Now I have
work
a
out
more
well.
sustainable approach to it, the process.
I love that. Okay, so we can't really talk about you guys as filmmakers, I'm sorry, without talking about Octavia.
Oh, you know what? Let me approach
yeah.
one more thing that
Of course,
you were just
yes.
talking about with the writing, because I was halfway there.
Please.
So on the directing side of it,
Yeah.
the dynamic is a little bit different. Whereas he's a storyboard artist, professional storyboard artist, he'll literally storyboard out the entire film. Sometimes we don't have the scenes, so he'll storyboard it the night before, morning of. He'll storyboard out, take 4 or 5 hours, and storyboard the whole damn thing out, whatever we're doing that day. And on the directing side of it, he's the 10, 15 pager up front. Like, he steps out, boom, this is what I've got as a visual cue. Then we sit there and look over the storyboards, and he's like, if you've got anything you want to do differently, like, let's start rapping about it. And then we go boom, 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 hack it out. And when we step out on set, we're completely in sync with, like, what we want, the intentions of the scene, how we think it's going to go. But then it gets tricky because now you've got actors involved.
Yeah, and then the outcome.
And then it's like, okay, we have to always understand that what we've set out is a blueprint. And when the actor comes in, it's like, okay, now they're going to bring it.
Now the collaboration
now
really.
Now they're going to bring it.
Because
So,
no matter how much you plan ahead, it's
right.
Yeah.
They're like, I want to go over here. I want to say this. I want to add this line. We're like,
Yeah.
great, let's talk about it. You know, so we just kind of figured it out right there on the day.
And no matter whether it's the blocking or the writing, like no matter one thing we are is we're uncompromising in that we both have to love it.
Yeah.
If one of us is like, it can be better or what, we will not stop until it's like, we both love it.
And the only thing that trumps that is if he's insanely passionate about something or I'm insanely passionate about something, because it's really hard to say, because there's, like, let's say you read the script for this movie and you're reading, I don't know, the coffee bit where he drinks coffee for a long time. Like, I think when you read that, you're like, is that going to be funny? Is that going to be weird? What the hell is that going to be? And then you watch it on screen and it's actually funny, and you know what I mean? Like, you get to see these two characters and the moment's funny. And it's like, I can't remember who came up with that, but whoever came up with that, I can't remember if we agreed on it or not, but let's say one of us didn't agree. If he was super passionate about it, I'd be like, all right, let's just shoot it because he knows it's going to work, you know?
Right.
And what I do love about that is, like, neither of us can remember what the other one wrote.
Yeah.
It's just become the script.
And
so I really can't delineate any
and I
single
can't
thing.
even tell you what 10 or 15 pages we started with.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you where we started
So
with.
interesting. And you know, I forget who it was that said this, and maybe it was just a teacher I had in film school, but he said the director is the first audience member. And what is so cool about a collaboration like this, as I hear you guys talking about, you know, decisions you're making creatively or on set, is that I think sometimes it's, you know, as the first viewer and as the one who's making this come to life, you're having to also, you know, in directing the actors, make decisions, right? And be passionate about them. And what's kind of cool about the two of you is you've got to argue it with, like, kind of the other half first.
Yeah, sure.
So, because sometimes I can imagine, and I've heard directors say this, it's like, well, do I want to ask them to do it again? Or I don't know if I should, or maybe that was good enough. But you've got to argue it with the other person.
It's a great sounding board.
First.
It's great.
And then you can, once you've made your argument, then you bring it to the cast and you know exactly what you want.
It helps a ton. It helps us a ton.
Oh, it's also like, you're excited about it taking, like, was that as great for you as it was for me? And he's like, yep, like, go on, moving on. It's an instant confirmation because we're very synced up in our taste.
Absolutely, great. I love that. Thank you for that little tangent because I think that's really, really interesting. Okay, so and so tell us about
Octavia.
Octavia.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we've known Octavia
Because we're jealous, really.
Yeah, well,
truthfully.
we've had the good fortune of having known Octavia for 15 years, 14 years. She was one of the first people we met when we got into town.
Yes, exactly.
We were crewing on some of the smaller, like, short projects she was doing. She, Brunson Green, and Tate Taylor, who all ended up doing the help together.
Right, of course.
That was we met those people on my first forays into LA.
I met them in 2002.
Right, because didn't you work on one of Tate's films?
Yes.
Early films?
We shot all the flashbacks. It was basically half the film of his first short film, which is Chicken Party, which starred Octavia Spencer, Melissa McCarthy, and Allison Janney.
Yeah. Bunch of
and
nobodies.
Tate himself.
Well, at the time,
I mean, Allison was established.
Allison
and Melissa Gilmore
had done plenty of work, and so it had and Melissa. But it was funny because Octavia was Octavia Spencer, struggling actress,
brilliant. Yeah. But doing
Fantastic.
the bits in Spider-Man, doing the bits in Sam Raimi's movies.
Sure.
Like just right there, ready to pop.
Yeah.
She
Absolutely.
just needed that thing, and then they came up with it.
Yeah. So that for us, it's like they're great people.
Yeah.
And we got along well, and we all had similar sensibilities, and
they were making stuff.
Yeah.
That was the most important thing, is that we landed in 2002. We went around with the query letters and the scripts and trying to get agents and managers, not knowing what the process was, and we quickly realized that you need to start making things, because people at film festivals, films were what was really getting people excited. So we just and if you've got a weird voice, or a voice that isn't like Transformers, you know what I mean? Something that's not like super, I understand exactly where this fits in, clunk, then you need to execute it so people can watch it and say, oh, I get this. Oh, wow, this is cool. And it actually gets people more excited if you have your own voice of some sort.
So we had the DVX 100, so we ended up shooting a bunch of short films with them, doing a ton of projects with Melissa, with Brunson, with Octavia. And then Octavia had The Help, and that wonderful moment for her and everybody else in her life, and we had gone off and shot Waffle Street, and we came back to her and we showed her the trailer for Waffle Street, because we were developing a series off of a book that she has, and we said, hey, what did you guys do? We just finished the Waffle Street trailer, check it out. And she goes, this is pretty good, I like this a lot. What do you got next? And we said, well, we have this crime thriller, small town crime we want to do next, and we had carried over two of the producers from Waffle Street. We had a financier interested, but needed the viable cast. And Octavia was first on. She loved the script, and she said,
went to that finance meeting with us and was like, all right, guys, look, I'm gonna go to the wall for this thing.
Yeah, we're gonna put this together.
We're gonna get some cast for this. We already got some great ideas who we want. Just cut us loose. And they said, okay, we're gonna give you financing on the contingency that you get these actors you're excited about. And we went out, and thank goodness John Hawk signed on, and Anthony Anderson signed on, and then a ton of other amazing
people. It just
people
spiraled it from there.
That's amazing.
That's how it started. I don't know if that was thorough enough for you.
No, I think it's, I think what sometimes filmmakers don't realize, especially if you're a writer-director, you're so in your process, you write the script, you want to direct it, you just want to go out and make it. And, casting is so important to the process, and it is the process.
Yes.
And I think it's like what you're saying even before about storyboards. It's like, okay, I got the movie right here it's, and it's like, no,
you don't have anything.
You don't have anything. It's the people that are in it, and they step on set and what happens. And so I'm curious if you have the opportunity to talk about how the rest of the cast came together.
Yeah. So Octavia came on, and she wrote John this amazing letter, and she said, I know we've been in a bunch of stuff, and we haven't ever had a scene together. Let's remedy that. And then John called her and was like, yeah, I'm interested. This sounds great. Please send me the script. And he's like, I don't want to know too much about it. And she was like, okay, no problem. I just want to say one thing. She's like, we play brother and sister. And then he was like, okay, now I got to read this.
Yes, which is such a cool concept of the two of them as siblings, and it works, and it's great, and
for us, it's like we didn't want to make that the point of the piece.
Sure.
Yeah.
It is the piece. That's the world we want to live in.
Yeah.
Where that is every day.
That's fine. It's normal. No one's sitting there having a debate over whether it's whatever. Yeah.
I love that.
It just is.
So, what is next for you guys? What are you gonna stay in the crime thriller genre? Do you want to go back to comedy? What are you working on?
We've got a couple of things. We want to finish developing this TV series we have with Octavia, and that's more of like I guess it's kind of like in the Stranger Things type of vibe.
Yeah.
It's kind of in that realm.
Oh, cool. Okay.
A little different, but it's in that vein. And then we've got two scripts that we're super excited about. Miniman and Fat Man. And those are the two words.
Yeah, and they're in this tone.
Oh, cool.
So this it's where we wanted to go. We're slowly getting up there. We have our tiers, and our rungs on the ladder.
Because when we were writing, I mean, it's interesting. I think in a filmmaker's way is that our sort of game plan of trying to get projects done was, okay, like we kept writing them and they kept saying no, and these were scripts we would take water bottle tour and people were excited about them. So we were under the impression that they were decent scripts. Because it's hard to judge your own work. You always have to kind of go out and try to get some third parties. But we liked the scripts. People seemed to like the scripts as well, but they wouldn't let us make them because the budgets were too big. And we were pretty hell-bent on directing them. And so we put that one in the drawer, write it down a little bit. Well, still too big? Put that one in the drawer, write down a little bit. So we built up this sort of 3-film tier. It was Small Town Crime. If we could get to that one, we could get to Miniman, we could get to Fat Man, which were the next two up. So. Yeah.
And as far as some of the other cast, like Ian and I are huge Robert Forster fans.
Huge.
And John was like, I just did a movie with Robert Forster. And we're like,
really?
Would you mind making that call? And so that came together.
Yeah.
Octavia was like, who do you guys see as Teddy Banks? And we're like, Anthony Anderson.
Number one is Anthony Anderson.
Our number one is Anthony Anderson. She's like, Anthony and I get our nails done at the same salon.
Stop it.
Like, it's just like these sort of karmic
Yeah.
things that kind of spiral. Dale Dickey, we had done 3 movies with her before. She's in every movie. We love her, adore her. She's talented
We
woman.
got to think of something big.
James Lafferty, we've done 3 movies with.
Sure, and actually, one of our colleagues has worked with James as well.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, we noticed that connection. That's great.
Just a sweetheart of a man. He's
Yeah.
really, really talented.
Talented, amazing guy.
Yeah, Jeremy Ratchford was in our first film, Lost on Purpose. Who now he plays the orthopedic
Same thing.
hitman.
Talented, amazing guy.
So it's just for us, we're growing our family.
Yeah.
And when we find people we love, we adore, we hold on to them real tight.
That's amazing. Well, and it's so great to still to feel your enthusiasm for what you do, and I think for everyone to be reminded of the fact that it is a family, it's a process, and it's a journey. You know, you guys have stuck with it, and I think that sometimes on the outside, it looks like, oh, and then these guys wrote a script and a movie happened, and it's like it's a grind, it's a marathon,
It's
and
a lot.
Congratulations, we're such an inspiring story, and thank you for coming and hanging out with us.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you
us.
so much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.